The Horror of Salazar House is a 2020 point-and-click horror game created by Ignacio Maldonado and published by Star Video. The first to be published by them, as a matter of fact. Due to its style of gameplay, it reminds us of Sanitarium, Phantasmagoria, Darkseed, the House series, which were Flash games from a decade ago, and Uninvited. The majority of the game is spent going through locations in and around the Salazar House because in order to unlock specific endings, the player needs a specific combination of circumstances to be met for that ending, which we're going to get into. The first ending, which is actually ending 0, is called Obsession. In it, Lisa crawls too far into the opening in the bathroom, but due to her journalistic integrity, something metaphysical, or both, she feels an overwhelming urge to keep going. Stuck and unable to turn back, she starts to beg for help. The ending screen tells the story of the Salazar family disappearance and notes that Elisa was sent to investigate the disappearance but wasn't seen or heard from again. The lamest ending in our opinions. The second ending, called A Journalist's Disappearance, is triggered when Elisa gets to the bottom of the well. She reconsiders where she's at, and taking the gardener's advice, she leaves. When she searches her pockets for her keys, she's violently killed in some way by an attacker who's off-screen, and gets blood on Elisa's car in the process. The ending story also tells the story of the Salazars and mentions that Elisa was sent to investigate it but disappeared. The third ending, called Gone Forever, involves Elisa not being able to put Isabel to rest due to her not relighting Isabel's candle. Once Elisa gets into the last room, Isabel stabs her to death. The ending features an old conversation between Jamie and Isabel in which Jamie tries to accept the death of their son while Isabel says how she wants to revive him and bring him back with the Black Book. The fourth ending, which is called Escape, follows the same sequence of events as the previous ending, but instead of entering the last room, Elisa goes through a trap door and gets to her car. While driving away, she admits her father had been right about the whole incident all along. The fifth ending, which is called You Got What You Wanted, is triggered when all the conditions for the previous two endings are met, with the exception of Elisa having the cup of blood in her inventory. Isabel will be docile, but will be active once the player lights the candle in her room. After Isabel takes over Elisa's body, she promises to her family that she'll fix everything once Javier gets back. Once she sees Javier in the arms of the devil takes Javier away because some sort of Black Book rule stipulated that it took both parents to want to bring their child back for them to actually be brought back. What an interesting area of legal practice, making all the effort for nothing. The most disappointing ending in our opinion. The sixth ending is called A New Life and is triggered when all the conditions for the previous three endings are met, except this ending occurs specifically when Elisa puts out Isabel's candle and relights it, which will set her free. Elisa then hears crying from the ritual site and finds Javier with a note attached to him saying take care of him. Elisa escapes the house and adopts Javier. The best ending in our opinions. The seventh ending is called Overdosed and it's triggered when Elisa takes too many healing pills in rapid succession, which Robloxes her, and then the story of the family and Elisa disappearing is told again. The funniest ending in our opinions. The eighth ending is called Possessed, which involves Elisa entering the blood hole and encountering the devil. By entering his realm, Elisa has effectively surrendered her soul to him, and she's released but tasked with guarding Javier, who the devil intends to use for nefarious purposes. The worst ending story-wise in our opinion. The ninth and final ending is called Don't Forget Your Family Loves You, is the same as A New Life, but has Elisa discovering a letter by Isabel blaming God for the death of Javier and wishing him the best in his new life. Elisa intends to raise Javier. We like this one mostly due to its retro vibe, which provides us with some relaxation and restoration of sanity since it's a departure from the fast-paced, gut-wrenching, designed to be stressful and agonizing games we're used to. We typically don't like point-and-click games because they're not entertaining enough for our tastes. Our line of thinking is, well, these kinds of games can be good for when you want relief from a genre which mostly consists of games that are typically action-oriented, but when we sit down to play a game, we're going to want action horror 9 times out of 10. And during that 1 time out of every 10, we still want something that'll put us on edge and instill in us a sense of intrigue going into it, which is what playing as an investigative journalist in this game does. When it comes to more mellow horror games, you're not looking for jump scare after jump scare after jump scare, but you're looking for something that's still eerie at the very least. Not only this, but when you want something dynamic and non-linear, as the drive to keep asking questions about where you'll end up next is imperative to the horror experience. Keeping people on the edge of their seats is the point of the genre best known to keep people on the edge of their seats, and it doesn't always take the latest GPU for that experience. It just has to have an engaging story and dynamic gameplay that moves said story forward. We think the Horror of Salazar House does that just right.